Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's episode 12 of our very, very first season. My name is Tonshi Prusats and a very good warm Gold Coast for you, Josip Jilic. How are you?
Oh, fantastic! Thanks, Toncha. And it has been a nice week for finally up here in the Gold Coast, and the rain periods seem to have petered out, mate, and hopefully it can stay that way for a little while to come.
Mate, it's episode 12. A big shout out to our advertisers this week, Your Business Insurance and Sports Portal. They did a great job, and certainly Sports Portal kit us out in great gear. This is the craziest time, Josip, pre-season. Just thousands upon thousands of kits being distributed Australia-wide, and we've got about 5 or 6 clubs that are also part of the Sports Portal Lajea stable. And you know, you've got a little bit of a keen interest in what happens with Sports Portal.
Yeah, look, the guys, when I spoke to them recently, they've just received some new stock and very, very busy. And you can imagine what it was like through COVID, where arrival of stock was, delayed and put off, or sometimes non-existent. When things arrive now, everyone's celebrating like it's Christmas every day. So special mention out to Asmed and Sofian, who are frantic with getting orders out for clubs that are getting started, particularly in local metro leagues.
Absolutely. And if it's your business insurance, if the insurance that you need taking care of me or Chicha, who's well known around Melbourne and Sydney as the Harmonikash, the harmonica man, he will look after all of your business insurance needs. And these days when everything seems to be just skyrocketing, you do want the best bang for your buck, and Mio certainly can help you find that one of the best insurance brokers going around. Yeah, Josip, we've got a massive show tonight. We keep saying it but indeed tonight we've got so much to get through. But before we get through anything, your neck of the woods at the moment, as we speak, Gold Coast Knights, who was the only Croatian-backed community club in the last 32 of the now defunct FA, we call it now the Australia Cup. They are in action tonight. Mate, have we got a progress score?
Yeah, just then they've gone 3-0 up to Runaway Bay. So they did start with a second string squad. So a lot of the guys that haven't had a lot of minutes have been put in the starting lineup. And they grinded away to a 2-0 start, and now I think the goals are starting to open up. So it's 3-0 now with about 14 minutes to go, mate.
Awesome. Now, what have we got lined up tonight? We've got a huge show for viewers. Tell us what's on the card.
I just took a big breath then, Tons. You know why? Because of all the conversations we've had to date, and I'm not saying this just because we both know Josip Loncaric over the years, right? But having the opportunity to speak with someone like Josip, who's deeply invested in the development of youth and the benefit of their personal and team integration development. This is an exciting conversation to tune into. So mums, dads, kids who are aspiring to become, athletes of a professional football nature, tune in and listen. There's a lot to take in. But we'll also have an opportunity to speak with a fine gentleman who's from Croatian background, young Michael Vonja, who's been selected as part of the Joeys. And we'll talk through a bit more thoroughly about the Joey selection as well, and some of the announcements that came out of that too later on in the show.
Yeah, and not only is Michael Vonja, he's training with Melbourne City, and he's been selected, as you said, for the under-17 talent training camp up in Townsville later in April. But he's also a student at Keilor Downs College, where Josip is a teacher, and he's also a co-founder of the Keilor Downs College Soccer School. It is making huge forays into the area of junior youth development, not just for boys but for girls as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's also involved with the Calder United under-19, the NPLW powerhouses, who will eventually transform into Western United's W League squad for next year. So, look, a lot happening in that area, and Josip is just someone who Personally, I've known Josip for a long, long time, and I've known him since the days when he was a player at the Melbourne Knights youth team in the old National Youth League. And boy, did that incubator, if you like, create and produce so many footballers. We'll be talking to him about youth development.
Josip's own journey itself is
absolutely
a fantastic listening. Yeah.
Which he probably still is continuing. I think he's probably playing veterans somewhere at the moment.
He still looks sprightly. He
does. Absolutely. We'll be talking to him about the program. But in the meantime, mate, we've got a huge news. And, we're going to start we're going to start straight after the break with the World Cup. Lots of action happening in that. Folks, don't go away. You're tuning into the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It is episode 12. And like I said, shout out to Your Business Insurance and Sportal Legeia, our business advertisers for this week.
Legeia, keep running with us.
We're back at the Oz Cro Soccer Show. The panel operator's trying to be tricky there. Josip, I think he's trying to catch us in the act of picking our nose or staring off into space, but we're too good for him this week. We're too smart for him.
I was just finishing off my yoga moves, just getting loosened up for the show.
All that talk about Josip Loncaric, our guest tonight, who's very agile, who's very fit, certainly wants us to get us into all these yoga and Pilates and what's your not moves. But let's turn our attention to the World Cup.
Yeah.
And, the World Cup, there's heaps of news happening with the World Cup. But let's have a look straight away at the groups. Now, this is unusual, isn't it? Like, they've already had the draw, and not everyone has qualified just yet. But, mate, let's talk about the group that is most interesting to us, Croatians, I suppose, Group F.
Yeah,
take us through that team. Take us through that.
Look, just starting with Belgium, right? We know Belgium's quality and what they've done probably in the last 10 to 12 years in reforming the way they approach player development, and it's paying off dividends. They're always in the late stages of tournaments these days, and with the likes of players like De Bruyne and Tielemans and the like, they're going to be a dangerous proposition for Croatia, but you would expect Croatia to go through in the top two with them. Canada, it's great to see a story like Canada, who is, I think the last time they qualified was it 86, Mexico. So
something like that.
They've had a long wait to get that turnaround, and it was fantastic to see David Alaba's reaction, even though he couldn't contribute to that last game. I don't know if you ever caught the footage, but he was in tears, tears of happiness, of course. And then we have Morocco. Now, Morocco is one of those unknowns. It's I guess probably it can upset other nations in terms of the way they play. They're a frustrating kind of unit to play against. Whenever I've seen them play, they don't seem to have a lot of fluidity. So it's a lot about disrupting your style and trying to capitalize on your mistakes.
Yeah, look, it's not going to be a straightforward group, but we're confident, no doubt about that. Canada's an interesting one because of Canada's goalkeeper, and it has been publicised quite widely. Born in Knin, he considers it to be Serbian Dalmatia. Well, no doubt there's going to be a little bit of animosity, I think, between some of the players, no doubt. But they're professionals; they'll stick to their guns, and no doubt Canada will do the same. But look, from our point of view, I think it's a very we won't say it's an easy group. Let's not get too excited, but it is a group that we can certainly, get in the top two and move on.
Oh, look, you have
And
expectations, right? You've got to set
absolutely.
expectations. And from a fan's
Look,
perspective,
yeah.
expectations are high that they'll be able to go in the top two.
And when you've got a player like Luka Modric, who's 36, but at his absolute peak, you got Perisic, who's doing absolutely wonderfully well across their midfield. You've got Kovacic. You've got some of these other players
Yeah.
that can really, really fire. Look,
Kramaric finding form at the right time. Broad's
absolutely.
always solid. So
And some of the younger guys coming through the ranks as well. There's a lot of excitement there. There indeed is a lot of excitement. It all kicks off on Wednesday, the 23rd of November. Croatia taking on Morocco. Now, that is Croatian time, so 11 a.m., which our time, I think, would be perfect, won't it? It would be something like
yeah, we're
9
getting
p.m. or something like that. Is that
yeah,
right? 10
I
hours?
think 10 hours. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
that'd be it's just
we're going to
perfect time
daylight
for us.
savings, don't we? So
Correct. Yeah. So we're
maybe
looking
10,
at around about
10 p.m.
not 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. or something like that. Yeah. Exactly. And then the second game, Croatia versus Canada. All right, that's a little bit later. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff. So that would probably be something along the lines of maybe a 3 a.m., I'd say, kickoff, Australia time, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And then Croatia taking on Belgium, the big one, Thursday morning. That would actually be Friday morning, roughly around about
The interesting thing
3
about
a.m.
playing Belgium in the last group game is the table could be sorted by then as well.
Yep, very much so. And if not, and if Croatia's got everything that they have to play for, then I tell you what, it would. That's when Croatia does well.
They do.
When the
Yeah.
pressure's on, when their backs are against the wall. So a lot to expect. Okay, in the meantime, let's turn our attention to the domestic scene that's happening there. The 29th round was played last weekend. The big games, obviously, there was the Osijek Hajduk game. Now, mate, this is an interesting one. Look, it was an even game. I think it was a game. Someone said neither Osijek won nor Hajduk won, but Dinamo won. And I guess the reason there is because Dinamo now have kind of opened up a 2-point gap. Plus, they've got a game in hand, and they are looking good. You know, there's only 7 games in Dinamo's case, 8 games to go before the end of the season, but Dinamo
But that game's
are
against
looking
Hajduk,
really good.
isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so that would be an interesting one. That one, how that works. But we've got some footage in the background there of Osijek have got their own. Well, Josip, when a club really starts to come of age is when their whole production, if you like, their social media, everything becomes really first class. On YouTube, Osijek have got this thing called All Access, and most home games they have players turning up, mood in the dressing rooms, the fans, and they capture really good footage. And this is one of those. And Hajduk's got their own TV channel, or so to speak, internet channel. Dinamo the same. So it's great to see some of this, but you really see the atmosphere that was captured.
Yeah.
And the big talking point, no doubt, will be the penalty. Mijot Saktash missing the penalty against his home side.
I was going to ask you, do you think that he was a little bit swayed with emotion?
I don't know, mate. They interviewed Nenad Bjelica just the other day, and Bjelica goes, look, if ever there was a player that wanted to score against Hajduk, it would have been Saktash. He would have wanted to prove his critics wrong. I don't think he meant it. I think, maybe the emotion got the better of him. Maybe he was trying too hard. But look, credit to the referee. He made 2 stuff-ups and he went to the... This is where Christian Lovric actually got yellow carded. He's gone and checked at the VAR and then saw that he was wrong. So he's overturned it, and there's that penalty. So he's just skied it. I don't know, mate. But my thoughts is he didn't mean it. What about yours? What do you think?
No, you're a professional. You go for it, mate. There's no doubts about it. It's always tongue in cheek, those sorts of comments, but no doubt there's a bit of emotion when he's lining up. It's a bit, whether it goes through his mind or not, it's a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just having a quick look there at the fixtures coming up. Gorica taking on Ida, Dragovoljac against Lokomotiva in the big Zagreb derby. Hajduk split in a must-win game against Šibenik. And this is another
We got the
rival
Macron
that...
Cup.
the Macron Cup, yes. early Sunday morning. Slaven Belupo taking on Osijek. Osijek need to win this game. Then a big one in Rijeka. Rijeka versus Dinamo Zagreb. Now, Rijeka, if they don't win this, they will certainly be... I won't say eliminated out of the title race, but they'll be pretty much, out of it. Can they cause an upset? Is it an upset on your own home turf? Are you expected to win, even though it's Dinamo Zagreb?
Look, I don't expect this to be an opportunity for Dinamo to walk away with the 3 points. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a hard affair.
Yeah, they have been known to stumble in the Rijeka. So it really depends on what sort of Rijeka comes up. Goran Tomic, the Rijeka coach, ex-coach of Lokomotiva Zagreb, he knows Dinamo very well. He knows them extremely well, and it really just depends on what sort of Rijeka shows up, but also at the same time what sort of Dinamo Zagreb shows up. But very, very quickly, once again, looking at that ladder, Rijeka are in third spot, 2 points ahead of Hajduk, but Hajduk does have that game in hand against Dinamo. So look, and that's crucial. That third placing is really important because that does lead to a European qualification game, if you like. So very, very important there. Let's move to the second division, Josip. Who's looking good there?
Well, we've got to keep our eyes on Rudesh. I think that they've still got the opportunity there to step up for the promotion there. But Varaždin is still holding strong in the top position. So look, it's still got a long way to go in terms of not in terms of many fixtures, but any little stumble in terms of points, any little hiccup, and it could change the dynamics completely.
Yeah, Rudesh defeating Dinamo Zagreb, second team 3-2 on the weekend. They this week travelled down to Split, to the outskirts of Split, to take on Solin, who are in 12th position. Varaždin, they ended up beating Solin 1-0 at home. A tough game, a very, very close game. It was interesting because about 3 or 4 of Varaždin's players are Hajduk players on loan, and some of them have actually played at Solin or even started their career at Solin. So prior to the game, there was a lot of handshakes and backslappings and even a lot of hugging happening. So it seemed to be almost like a friendly type of atmosphere before the game. But once the game started, it was a completely different sort of a situation. Varaždin, they travelled down to Imotski, always a tough place to travel, to take on Croatia Zmijavci. That game is late Sunday night our time, so Sunday in the afternoon Croatia time. So that's 2 games that both teams must win. But there's a bit of a dark horse there as well. Dubrava, they've got Inter Zaprešić, who have been really hot and cold.
It's 3v4 there. Look, and if the top 2 start to have their own little wobbles, Dubrava's got a chance to start jumping in. Yeah.
Let's cross the border over into Bosnia-Herzegovina. Mate, tell us what happened here. Big news here.
Big news in Herceg Bosna. The team we've been sort of trying to pump up over the last few weeks, Posuše, took on Željo, and we know that Željo's a big club in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and they took the biscuits 3-2, massive win. So well done to Posuše, and it starts to give him that little bit of the breathing room just away from that bottom drop zone, so that they can sort of now focus on to what the next big task is for them.
Yeah, and they come up against Široki Brijeg in the big Croatian derby, 3:00 Monday morning our time. So if you do have Croatian television, or if you are able to get any of the games streamed live, that would be a top game. Široki Brijeg versus Posuše. Look, I don't think Široki Brijeg are about to tank this. I don't think they're about to give their Croatian neighbours any favours, because apart from obviously, they would have that sort of they've still got a slim chance of a top 3 position, and they would
Once
need
you
a
cross
win
the
here.
white line, you want
Once
the
you
points.
cross the
All
white
you want
line,
is the 3 points. Yeah.
and it's the bragging rights as well. You
Exactly.
don't want to let the other team anywhere near. But yeah, look, for Posselchi's sake, to get away from that dreaded relegation zone. Hopefully they can get a good result there. But Zrinski, they've pretty much sewed up the premiership. There's no
They have
doubt.
to really implode for it.
Really have to stumble. Yeah, they travel. They go to Banja Luka, which is always a very tough trip, and they take on Borac Banja Luka.
Yeah.
Now, an interesting thing about Zrinski, I think their captain, who is not Croatian, he actually hails from Banja Luka, and apparently the guy is just like I can't remember his name, Nemanja something or other. He's an absolute legend. Bilbia, that's it.
He's been there for about I think 7 or 8 years.
The fans are calling, saying when he retires, out the front of the Zrinski Stadium, they need to erect a massive bust, like a big statue. That's how much the man is revered. He's like, I think he scored the most amount of goals. Is that right, Josip?
He's constantly banging them in.
Yeah. Nemanja Bilbia. What did you say? Bilbia. There you go. Another thing that's happening at Zrinski Mostar, their famous stadium, Ispod Bijelog Brda, is undergoing a major renovation, actually, in time for next year's Champions League qualifiers. The club stalwarts are trying to do everything they can to ensure that it gets the required UEFA certification for for group games as well. So obviously, Champions League qualifiers will be played in Mostar next season. And it's great to see that one of the cult stadiums, one of the real cult stadiums of Bihar football, Zrinski's stadium is undergoing a major reconstruction. So that should be absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic, but I didn't realise that they were at Cadinia Park pinching chairs with me, Vlado, and Andrew on the ground.
Tell us about that story back in the day.
When was it? It was about 2015 on a really wet, horrible day. There was about 12 of us came out there. The Polshak boys, Ivan Diak, Andro, Vlado, just a bunch of shifters and big skips donated by Eco Waste for us to put the seats in. We got the tap on the shoulder. We got the tap on the shoulder to say the doors are open. Come and help yourself. So we went gangbusters. So those seats you sit at Elko Park, ladies and gentlemen.
Formerly of Cadinia Park.
Formerly of Cadinia Park at that Ford stand area.
Excellent. There you go. Legendary stuff. I'm sure a lot of the Geelong Cats fans will be quite happy to know that those seats are still alive and kicking. Folks, don't go away. When we return, Josip has got all the Australian Croatian news ready for you, and boy, is there a lot to get through tonight. Don't go away.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.
Welcome back to the news, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's the Australian Croatian scene. But Josip, before we do that, you've got a progress score with the Australia Cup tonight with Gold Coast and Runway Bay. Is that right?
Runaway Bay up in the Broadwater section of the Gold Coast. So it's Gold Coast 4 and Runaway Bay 0. Goals to Tyson Martin, Bramora, Pasquale Davida. Bramora ×2. So there you go.
Excellent.
Well done to the Knights. Off to the next round.
Okay, on we go with all the latest news happening on the Australian Croatian scene.
on the big land of Oz, mate. We'll go over to the nation's capital and Canberra, Croatia. The women's NPL got off to a start this week, and they had some convincing results again, and had a clean sweep for all their women's teams there. Great. And that's against Canberra United Academy. We know Canberra United has their W League set up as well. So good indication of what Canberra Croatia is up to with their women's program. So congratulations there, and well and truly underway now. Unfortunately, the men's competition in the ACT got postponed on a few occasions with regards to COVID and some weather conditions as well. But they will be suiting up to take on the Tigers FC this week at home. So good luck this week. O'Connor Knights, likewise, their round one got delayed against West Canberra Wanderers, but they'll now face off with Canberra Olympic, whom Canberra Croatia was supposed to be playing this week anyway. So, good luck to O'Connor Knights. And their women are also kicking off their league now with round one for them against Western Molonglo. I hope I said that right.
Well, it sounds right. Molonglo, yeah.
It's a difficult one to read out, that one. Further up north to New South Wales, South Coast United in the Illawarra Premier League. Unfortunately, stay rooted at the bottom of the ladder. 4-0 loss to Wollongong Macedonia, and Wollongong Macedonia is the powerhouse of the league. No excuses, but I know the team wouldn't be looking for excuses, but no time to rest their weary heads because they now head away to Albion Park White Eagles, the Serbian club up the road. So, good luck to them, and hopefully they could turn that into a winning form. No better match to do it on.
Absolutely. Good luck to the South Coast United crew.
Yeah. Over in Hurstville Zagreb continue their good form at the start of the year. They're sitting in third spot. Signs are good for the year right now. This week they have Hawkesbury City visiting them, and that's on the back of another win against Western Rage, 2-0 win to the senior team there. And there's the list of scores for the NPL boys throughout their club. Sydney United now stay in second position after their win against Blacktown this week, 2-1. They're on 11 points, and they're just sitting behind RPA Leichhardt. So it's interesting to see a couple of the old NSL clubs like Sydney United and RPA doing the business up top of the ladder.
Isn't it interesting, Josip, because we see in Victoria as well, and we'll get to Victoria a bit later on, South Melbourne, Hellas are just absolutely slaughtering everyone before them. But all this talk about a national second division next year, and all those big clubs, the ex-NSL clubs, are now starting to really shift into another gear. And it's like they've been holding back, but now they're almost, we won't say they're letting go, but they're now starting to really flex their muscles, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're priming themselves up for that opportunity to come their way, mate. But Sydney United, good form for them. With this week, though, they'll be playing behind closed doors. You may or may not recall, Taunch, and our viewers as well, that they had some issues with Rockdale Illingdon the previous season. So it'll be a closed doors match this week. So if any fans are tuning in of Sydney United, please make sure you take heed of that advice. Further north, though, into Newcastle, their much-awaited return got stumbled, mate. So unfortunately, they got washed out and had to reset. And now they have to face off with Raymond Terrace as their kickoff for the league. And Raymond Terrace is around the corner from Karl Živkovic's house, so I'm sure he'll put on a Rajan and some homebrew. So Živko, if you're tuning in, please open the gates of your palatial abode and let the faithful in.
Win, lose or draw, you reckon either of the two, it's going to happen, and there's going to be a fair bit of celebrating to do, huh?
Yeah. Živko's got some good homebrew, no worries.
Mate, moving along now to the Gold Coast. We talked about the Gold Coast Knights being in action tonight. What's the latest score? There's the starting lineup, by the way.
Yeah, that's the starting lineup for today. So look, players there that haven't usually started: Topolda, Dragicevic, Stopka, Schmidt, and De Silva's been a starter as well. So, but yeah, they did mix up that lineup. So good to see they got their 4-0 win, and I'm moving on to the next round. They continue their good form in the league as well, up on top of the ladder. And this week head off to Sunshine Coast Wanderers on the back of a 3-1 win over the old NSL club Brisbane City, mate.
Right, the old Azuri, was it?
Azuri, yeah, that's
Azuri,
right.
that's right.
Yeah. Brisbane Knights, they had a hard-fought 1-1 draw against Ripley Valley, and this week we'll head off to Redcliffe Dolphins. Their women's team and over 35s games were called off due to pitch conditions, so it might be a result from the previous storms that happened up this way, mate. So, but look, Brisbane Knights are sitting in and around the middle of the table now, so getting some progress going, and from all we can see from the way they're going about it, it's not too bad right now.
Yeah.
Well, jet set across
moving
the country,
over
mate.
to Western Australia.
Yeah, let's jet set across the country over to the Western Knights, and on the back of their 2-1 win over Joondalup last week, the Knights head home and welcome Forestfield on Saturday to Nashfield. I always used to like to call it Nushfield because they're playing
Nashfield. I like it. I haven't heard it before, but I do like it.
There you go. Yeah, so they're early doors in their season. Guelph Croatia, though, they are still having some issues with trying to get some results. They had a good first half against Sorrento, and Sorrento is quite a good performer over the years in the top leagues. Held it together 0-0 for about an hour, but then fell apart, and 2-0 was the result to Sorrento. So they now have to focus on Bayswater City. And their women's team comp also starts up now. But they start up with a bye. So you look forward to round one, and what do you look? You look at the fixture that says bye. Okay, well,
that would have to be the most frustrating thing for any team, when the season starts and the first round is a bye. It's like, come on, we want to get into it. Unless, of course, you're suffering from injuries and need that extra week to recover.
That's right. So over to South Australia and Adelaide Croatia, who sit fifth on the table in State League One, were held to a 2-2 draw to Adelaide Blue Eagles this week, and then they head back home for a match against Eastern United. So look, there's a little bit of patchy form, and I know they are experimenting with a young squad, but sitting fifth, look, everyone's just got to back them and make sure that the boys get the right support to get the results on the board. Bit of a call out to a youngster, another debutant for this season, Oli Trimbali. Not sure of his age, but there was a mention of him in the social pages of Adelaide Croatia, and the youngster made his debut for the club. In Tassie, Glenorchy Knights, the league leader last week, faced traditional foe South Hobart. That's Ollie there. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So over to Tassie, and Glenorchy Knights, they faced their old traditional foe, South Hobart. They had a 1-1 draw, and now they face off with Clarence Zebras to further cement the position on top of the ladder. So despite that draw, they held on to top spot.
There you go. We'll take a very, very short break. When we return, we're moving to Victoria because there is a lot of happening in Victoria. And then we've got our big guests later on this evening, JOSIP LONCARIC, who's the coach, and he's also one of the founders, and he's a teacher at the Keilor Downs College in the western suburbs, and they're very, very famous soccer school. Don't go away, folks. Hang around. The Geelong Region Soccer Show, one of our sister podcasts, and I have the privilege, the honour, along with Steve Curtin, of hosting that every Monday night. Josip, next week we've got a former Melbourne Knights player who is now running the Curva coaching franchise in Geelong, Adrian Leyer, former Melbourne Victory player as well. He's going to be appearing as on the show. We are trying to get a former Curva coaching student who's now doing very, very well at Western United, and he's of Croatian extraction, who's also going to be involved in that clinic. There's going to be a clinic in Geelong over the Easter break.
Steve?
Stephen Lushtica. Yes, indeed, yeah. So that might be...
Well, our guest has done some Curva coaching himself.
He does, and he's also got some good connections with Stephen Luchtitz, so we'll be asking him about that a bit later on. But yeah, Adrian Laya will be appearing on the Geelong Region Soccer Show next Monday night. But speaking of Victoria, Josip, lots happening on the Victorian Croatian soccer scene.
Power-packed update here from Victoria, mate. So we'll go to Strathmore Split. They were facing off with Caroline's, I was going to say Sunshine George Cross. I still can't get rid of that out of my head.
I think they call themselves Sunshine George Cross half the time as well.
Georgies, let's call them Georgies.
Georgies, yeah.
They got off to an early lead, courtesy of a goal to Josh Brekalo, and they just couldn't keep it together and copped a couple of late goals, and Georgies jagged the 3 points off them. So unlucky. You can sense that the tide is about to change and the results will start coming their way. And no better way to do it than to take down another league favourite in Essendon Royals. So give them hell, boys, and hopefully you come home with the 3 points this week.
And that's on Friday night. So Friday night football. That's the Croatian clubs in Victoria. We love the Friday night football, don't we? It just seems to.
We're a bit spoilt too now. They've got all the TV options.
Night. Yeah. That's right.
Gospish Bears had a bit of a road trip up the Princess Highway and visited the Elko Park Cardinals, the local league club from the North Geelong offshoot. So good to see a bit of brotherly love happening and catching up pre-season and getting some form on the way. The match went the Cardinals' way 4-2, but irrespective of result, it's just always good to have renew acquaintances. Yeah.
We've got a soft spot for the Gospish Bears. They were the first club that was featured on the Oz Cro Soccer Show way back in episode 1, and it's been almost 3 months since we've started this. I reckon it's high tide, and we actually maybe revisit the Bears and see how things are going down there at our Churchill Reserve. But great to see their season just about to start very, very shortly as well.
Speaking of Churchill, mate, St Albans Dinamo, a good little intro there for you, mate. Return to winning ways, and what a massive win this is. 2-0 away to Heidelberg. Win. Like, if you're ever going to lift your confidence, this is the sort of game that you need to lift your confidence to get the form back on track again. So, and they're going to be facing up with Hume City, who haven't had a great start to the year. So Saturday night poses to be probably the match of the round with St Albans and Hume City.
Yeah, St Albans Dinamo in 8th spot now. So they've certainly improved their record so much. Xander Guy, he scored 1 goal and then was responsible for the second goal, which unfortunately for Heidelberg was an own goal kicked by our own Joey Franic. So he would not have been very happy. But have a look at that graphic there. I guess would that be the Dinamo's graphic, I suppose? But look at the security guard in the background. He must have been a Hrvat. He must have been one of Nash. He's got a smile on his face when he's watching the Dinamovci celebrating there. He must have been very happy.
He's a security guard at Heidelberg's ground. They probably haven't paid him, so he's just
either that.
Necker.
Either that, or he's going to get the sack during the week after this show. But he just can't hide that smile. I wonder if he's employed by one of our viewers, Grga Grgic, who's got his own security.
CCG, yeah.
CCG. Anyway, moving along to the Melbourne.
Before we do that, sorry, Dinamo tomorrow night. They do this really well. Good Friday appeal fundraiser. They call it Jacob's Day. Jacob is Gilbert Glavan's son, who was helped a lot with Royal Children's Hospital. So they go to great lengths to put the fundraiser on. So get out there, book a table, whatever you got to do, help the club raise funds for a much needed cause. And we all love supporting the Royal Children's Hospital fundraiser.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an institution. The Glavan family have for decades now, I think, for many years now, been organising a traditional Jacob's Day. In memory of their son Jacob, who I think passed away from cot death or something like that. Really sad story. But Lou and Anna Glavan, they've been incredible ambassadors for the Croatian community with regards to the Royal Children's Hospital. And there's been golf days in the past. There's been
fun runs and all sorts of things.
Fun runs, burger nights.
My two Kulms, shout out to them, Nick Delia and Tom Lovrich. They go on those runs with Mick Chugara all the time, So,
yeah. A lot of those crew from the Wednesday nights.
On the Wednesday
nights, boys. Yeah, very good bunch of blokes.
We might have a special boot room edition of the Wednesday nights coming up soon, mate. But
Well, tell us more about this. Or is it a little bit too early?
After Easter.
After Easter. Okay, after Easter. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Mate,
so we're kicking on, mate. So we got over at Melbourne Knights. They entered the top 6. So back-to-back wins, courtesy of a 3-0 win over Hume City, who's St Albans' opponent this week. So now they've got their pep in their step. They're going to head over to the other side of McIntyre Road or Sunshine Avenue and face Green Gully on Friday night. So it's going to be a blockbuster.
A big game that. The Melbourne Knights are currently in 6th position at the moment, and they want to cement their place in the top 6. But they've had a kind of a very yo-yoing season up till date, and they'll really be looking forward to having won over the Green Gully, the neighbours, the near neighbours, and that game is at Green Gully Reserve on Friday night. A big game, that one. Yeah. That will be on NPL TV, as are all of these games. But mate, Josip, when it comes, speaking of another Josip now, who was a big visitor at Melbourne Knights training the other night.
Yeah, so Josip Simovic and Peter Kuppen are in town, and we could see him there talking to Slugger. And they've come out to watch some of the juniors train on the main pitch there. So good little opportunity for the youngsters to show their wares. So this is in the lead up to Josip's and Peter's coaching seminar, which they'll be holding up in Sydney. They'll have some of the Crow Club's TDs and whatnot will be coming into that. But then later on, there'll be some kids clinics and talent ID sessions where Melbourne Knights have been setting up a scholarship. So as a part of that, we'll get Steve Vukasovic on the show. I believe next week. I'll try and hold him to it. We're exchanging texts, but I believe next week or the week after. But next week, I'm really hopeful we can get Steve on the line for a few minutes just to share some of the pearls of wisdom behind the planning and what they expect to get out of this. What a youngster would expect to get out of this talent ID proposition.
I did catch up very, very briefly with Steve Vukasovic, and he's there, the fella on the far left-hand side, dressed all in black with the black cap, at the recent I&D day at St Albans. And he did say, look, we're just trying to tie up a few little kind of loose ends, but once we get it right, definitely I'll be coming up on the show and giving all the information there is. And as you mentioned, there was some of the little details about the coaching seminars, maybe the talent identification, all that needs to be ironed out. But hopefully Steve will be on next week. Speaking of the I&D day, we have got exclusive footage of or a report, if you like, from the I&D day. All the colour, all the fun, some of the kids involved, and we've got that a little bit later on tonight, after we've spoken to Michael Vonja a little bit later on. So don't go away. Stay right to the end, folks. We've got a jam-packed show tonight, and we still haven't got through the news. Turning our attention across town to Dandenong City.
Yeah, Dandenong City. They're sitting on 12th spot, so still too close to the drop zone for their liking, or for anyone's liking for that matter. So they'll have to step that up, and they face Altona Magic this week. They're coming off the back of a 4-0 loss to Oakley Cannons the last Friday. So that'll be a nice little reminder for them about how far they need to push themselves in order to get the results. We know Magic's always going to be a tough proposition for them.
At Paisley Park. Saturday night, under lights, 6 p.m. Come on, all you Westies, all you Western suburbs Croatians, come out and support Mickey Cholina and
even
the Dandenong City crew. Even the Geelong people. The game will have finished at Elko Park by that stage, so you can pop down the highway a bit. When they say 6 pointers, this is a real 6-pointer game. If Dandenong City can get, I think they're third last, Altona Magic, or so like second last or something like that. They will need a win over Altona Magic to escape away from that relegation zone. And they need a real confidence booster after last week's performance against Oakley. And this is it. This could be it. So wishing Dandenong City and everyone involved with Dandenong City all the very best. Now, we talked about North Geelong.
North Geelong. So North Geelong's got to probably just come off the back of the toughest road trip you can get in NPL 2. They went over to Langwarrin and came home with a point with a 2-2 draw. They led early, wobbled in the middle of the game, and then came the goods towards the end of the game. So courtesy of a goal about the 66th minute mark, I think it was, for Keilor Downs College.
Yeah.
So, but this week they've got to put their focus onto Goulburn Valley Suns, and they don't have a good history with Goulburn Valley, so they'll have to be really on their toes and wary about the opponent they're facing this week. And good luck to the guys to get the 3 points at home.
Yeah, Goulburn Valley, they're kind of one of those teams, but they're a regional team, just like North Geelong, and they sometimes uncover absolute gems of players. They are definitely some players that you're going to have to kind of really be careful about, won't you?
Yeah.
And one of those teams you just really need to sort
and
of
I think because the location they're at, they don't get the same profile that players on this side of the, in the metro areas get. So they can go under the radar a fair bit.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we've got some really, really important guests coming on a little bit later on tonight. We've got JOSIP LONCARIC. He's the coach and the teacher at Keilor Downs College Soccer School. We've got Michael Vonja, who's a player and a current student at the same institution, same school, and the famous KDC Soccer School. They are both in the green room, ladies and gentlemen, which means they are eager to get on and talk to you and talk to us. And we're going to take a very, very quick break, Josip. When we return, we're going to be speaking to your namesake, JOSIP LONCARIC. Folks, don't go away.
Leggera, keep running without.
Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show, and it's with great pleasure that we welcome our first guest for tonight, a former Melbourne Knights NSL youth player and long-term St Albans Dinamo player, who is now heading up Keilor Downs College soccer program and a teacher at Keilor Downs for quite a few years now. Welcome to the show, JOSIP LONCARIC.
Thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to hear your rundown of the weekly happenings in Australia and overseas. So glad to be part of it this week.
I know sometimes it might get boring because it goes on and on and on, but I guess it's testament to the Australian Croatian scene just how vibrant it is, and it's not just the men's seniors we're talking about. There's the women's teams as well that are starting to come through. Good, the juniors as well, and that's something we're going to talk to you about today. But Josip Zilic, I'm going to have to call you Josip Zila and Josip L, because there's too many Josips around here, isn't there? Josip Zilic, we had during the week an announcement about the under-17 talent identification camp that's happening up in Townsville, and quite a few young Australian Croatians have been selected in that.
Yeah, so there has been, and look, in some of the actual the broader squad as well, there was some other players that didn't make the final list, but I'll quickly run over those players. There were some Gold Coast Knights, Christian Mladenis, and at North Geelong, Noah Skorkul, Zach Stosic, and Daniel Gnech. But towards the final list that the FA put on this week, or I think it was yesterday afternoon, actually, the one for Townsville, Michael Vonja, who will be joining us on the show a little bit later, a goalkeeper who is part of the Keilor Downs Secondary College Football Academy and also at Melbourne City. We also wanted to congratulate players Nicholas Zdrilic from Sydney United, the nephew of David, his teammate Zachary De Jesus, and a former teammate of theirs, Anthony Pavlicic, who are all from Sydney United, and also Luka Blažević from Adelaide, Croatia.
Oh, brilliant! And Luka, Adelaide, Croatia is sometimes one of those little clubs that doesn't get too much recognition. It's great to see a youngster like that coming up through the ranks at Adelaide Croatia Raiders and getting on the radar. So that's good to see. Josip, our guest tonight, Michael, he's joining us a little bit later on. Tell us a bit more about him. You know him quite well, and tell us, what set him out from the rest of these kids, because he's obviously, he's got something special about him.
Yeah, Michael's, first of all, he's a lovely kid. He's a terrific human being. He's always helpful with our younger kids in the program. Has obviously been part of Melbourne City for several years now, doing wonderful things up there with Simon Zappia and the crew at Melbourne City. And he's in year 11 this year with us. We've also got his sister Stephanie, who's in year 10, and his little brother Geordie, who's in year 7. He's just joined us now. So the family connection with the school is brilliant. His dad, Michael Senior, if you want to call him that, used to go to our school as well. And back in the days, Michael and I are very similar in age, so we used to play against each other. He was a St. Albans Saints junior, me a Knights junior. So it's an interesting story. And their mum, Mikey, Steph's and Geordie's mum, Tanya, is also of Croatian heritage. And her brother, Mark, was in the same primary school class as me for 6 years. So it's a very intertwined relationship that we have with the kids. But terrific family, really respectful kids and really talented kids as well, hardworking as well.
Right. That sums it up, right? When they got a good family mix and they've got a good work ethic too, right? And speaking of work ethic, Josip, like the passion and the desire for football comes from yourself into these kids. Your journey started, some years ago, and we want to get a little bit of a retrospective look about your journey in football. Do you want to just give us a quick, helicopter view of where it began and where it took you?
Oh, so it began quite late for me, which probably helps me with coaching. I didn't get the bug for the game until I think 1993, going to watch the Knights, and you guys will know Mark Viduka's my cousin. So as a kid, he was just cousin Mark to me. But that particular day, if you'll remember this image, I do, because it got me hooked on the game. Near post cross, Zoran Trajčevski whips it in. Duke's at the near post against South Melbourne, packed house at Summer Street. He scores a header. Yeah. And I went home and I said, now I want to give it a crack. I want to play a bit of soccer. So
how old were you then, mate?
I was 11, turning 12. So very late. Just didn't have the bug for it. My dad obviously tried to push the ball in front of me, but I was more into playing with army men and building forts and riding my bike, karate, swimming, everything but football. But then when I got the bug, that was it. Actually went to Croatia in '94 as well and played with my cousins in Rijeka on a car park, as they do over there. When the cars are all out and about, the kids go out and play in the car park spaces until the cars return. So that's it. That's where it started for me, guys.
Excellent. Good stuff.
I know you worked your way up through the Melbourne Knights and played in the National Youth League, the old National Youth League Southern Division, and there were some rather illustrious players that played alongside you that went on to play senior football. Recall some of those names and some of those guys that you played, and who were some of the players that really stood out from the rest?
Oh, there was a whole heap of them. Look, the Dandy boys, Ivan Kladica, Ivan Gelemanovic. We had Antun Kovacic, Anthony Pelican, the Palika brothers. I'll probably miss somebody here, but it was a good group. We were fortunate enough to have a young Luciano Trani as our coach for one of those years, and still to this day, that's
professor.
a guy that left a massive impression on me as a person, but also in my journey to become a coach. And obviously, my experiences there, I remember Adrian Savinsky coming down, and I tell this to kids at school all the time, when he was coming back from injury, or Keller, Ivan Kerlic, and then playing with us in the youth team. I learned more from those guys as a player than I did from any coach I ever had as a junior, because as you guys would remember, the coaching back then was 2 laps in a game, 3 laps in a game. So having an Adrian Savinsky, who for me was the most clever player I'd ever played with. Had the privilege of playing with him at least 3 or 4 times, and he'd just put you through. You'd make the run, and he'd put you through at the right moment. He'd draw 2 defenders to him and slip me in. So, that was those experiences. It was it was a really strong competition. I think I broke in when I was 15 into that under 21s comp, and had a bit of a taste of it. Then 16, you do the Colts in between, and then back to your junior team. It was full on football back then, a bit different to how it is now.
Yeah.
We go on about how different it is now, and how for a lot of us, we're nostalgics, the NSL nostalgics. We talk about the NSL being so much better than today. But in your eyes, in your mind, was there more opportunities for youth in that era, in the National Soccer League era, as opposed to today, or are things changing today as well? With clubs like Western United, Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory, having teams in the NPL competitions or youth teams in the NPL competitions?
Hard to gauge now because I think they're still so young with their process of the youth teams. But I know back then, for example, I had the opportunity of training with the first team on several occasions. And one particular time we were meant to go to Adelaide City and 4 of us young boys were called up to the squad. That very week, though, on Tuesday, Carlton folded. So Knights ended up signing Stabber and Daniel Vasilevsky and I think Lubo returned. So all us young boys were basically sent back to the youth and said, go and stay in the youth for another year, which was a bit disheartening at the time because you think you're on the cusp of something. But I think it's always been the case. You always have to stand head and shoulders above the rest. And I think nobody can ignore that kind of talent and dedication.
Yeah. Well, speaking of opportunities and what comes for the youngsters today, let's talk about Keilor Downs and the program that you're up to. How did this concept come together? With yourself and I've forgotten his first name.
Georgie
Cataforis.
Yeah. So, well, very quickly, George was my teacher. So I'm an ex-student of the school. I graduated in 2001. So it's been a long time since I finished year 12 there. I then, went overseas a little bit, did a different kind of uni degree in sport admin, business management. Didn't really like it. So I went back and did education, which was something I always thought I would end up in anyway. And then ended up at that school just by chance. I put in my application to be a casual relief teacher. Someone retired that afternoon and I went back in for an interview and got a job there. And 15 years later, I'm still there. And I think like in every profession.
That sounds like the factory.
Yeah.
Someone resigns, someone walks in.
Absolutely. And you guys would know, in every profession, after a period of time, you think to yourself, you're comfortable teaching. I've been doing it for 8 years. And what can I do next? Like I've reached my peak in terms of what I'm going to do as a teacher. And I looked at, obviously my biggest passion outside of my family is football. And I said, well, what if I did it within school? So I sat down with George, and George's wife, Sandra, is also from Otokuglian. So he's technically half Crow as well. That's right. And we sat down, and I just said to him, Georgie, I was a student here. We never had anything like this. We always had good players, your Jason Kalinas, Sash Bechanovskis, the Delev twins, Jason Vukadin. But we never had a program. The guys would just turn up from their club stuff. We'd train, we'd play, and we'd win lots of titles. And that was the end of it. I said, we're here every day. We've got a facility. Why don't we do something like the AIS used to be and just see where it takes us? And that was in 2014. We launched it in 2015. And now 8 years on, I think you're sharing some images now of our boys winning the Premier League Cup, where for us, it's a really proud thing because we're the only non-sport specialist and zone school. So what that means is all of these kids have to live within 5 kilometres of the school to come to the school. We can't pick and choose. So Maribyrnong can, Rowville can, John Faulkner can, Cedar can, Box Hill, the other schools that we play against, they can all do that. We can't. We haven't got that luxury. So we've had to design the program and basically educate ourselves to become better coaches to create this environment, to create this space where excellence is expected from all the kids.
Now, is it true, Josip? And I vaguely recollect conversations with you in the past where I'm sure that you've said that there have been families that have actually moved into the zone where the school is just so that their kids could actually enroll at Keilor Downs College and be part of this school. Is that true?
It is, and it's funny because I know a few real estate agents in the area, and they sort of say the same thing. Look, it is, and it's. I guess it's a testament to the culture that we've built there. But I think, like anything, when you take your time with it and you put the interests of the people at heart, and for us, the kids, the personalities that we work with, there's 140 of them in the program, boys and girls. For us, that's the number one. And if the relationship with them is number one, then the football side of it's a lot easier.
That's really good. You mentioned some of the caliber of the players. I mentioned to you during the day today that Jason Schuliner last night was with me at a match here locally. and he was trying to pull out George's name out of his head, but he couldn't help it. But yeah, I mean, you've had some interesting players come through the ranks of Keilor Downs as players that have moved on into the state and national leagues. Looking at what you're designing here, I don't think that's too far away by the way they're going about it.
Yeah, look, Mikey's one in the right direction, but we've also managed to, what we're really proud of is actually move kids into senior football at our local club. So we've become this little network for clubs that ring up and say, listen, I've got no budget, but I need a 17-year-old, 18-year-old midfielder. What have you got for me coming through? And we're more than happy to help them because we want these kids to reach the highest level possible. And I think that's probably the most unique aspect of the school-based program is that we get a kid from year 7 or grade 6 when we pick them in the trials, and we have them through to year 12. That's a 6.5 year relationship that you build with them, which I know from my experiences in club football, you just can't do it in club football. You can't take your time with the development of a player because you're always worried about who's going to coach him next year, who's the new TD, what direction's the club going in. Basically, for us, it's our direction, our platform, and it's now paying dividends. Like that's the beautiful part, and we hope it continues for many more years.
So what's involved for a student to be part of this program? What's the typical week in say a student's routine with this school, with the soccer school side of things?
Yeah, so look, they get selected from a group of trialists, and we try as close as possible to get a 50-50 gender balance in the group. But COVID's affected us a bit with girls, especially trialing, because I don't think they've had that exposure in primary school to fall in love with the game. So in year 7 and year 8 out, we were a little bit top heavy with boys. But then since the kids come to the school and they see what the kids are doing at training, like for this learning how to massage and recover that you see in the footage there, they become basically engrossed with it. They come and do an extra trial after school. So we've got after school sessions, before school sessions, and during school sessions. It is a big timetable where everybody's kind of got their own time to be out there and with the coaching staff. So, goalkeeper coaches come in on a Friday. We got Adam Rahorjan, who's another ex-Melbourne Knights boy, and a local in the area. He's fantastic. Well, the work he's doing with our keepers is out of this world.
And his brother Richie coaches as well, I think. Is he at Dinamo still?
Yeah. He's taken the year off because his daughters are doing really well. Both playing, one's at the NTC and another one's at Moreland. So the girls are doing fantastic things. And I had the privilege of working with them at Dinamo last year. So, it's just a special way to do things because you can take your time, you can focus. Like you've just shared a bit of footage. We've got, a drone, a VO, 5 GoPros.
That's
you put
awesome.
them up there, you film it. Yeah, kids can see their development. They can actually see what you're talking about instead of us, yapping at them and barking like dogs.
Well, you touched on a really good point there where you said you've got them for about 6 years generally, right? I know since I moved to the Gold Coast and when we were inquiring about opportunities for Ben, we realised how massive the school football system is here on the coast, let alone throughout southeast Queensland itself. And one thing I've picked up on is NPL season here, they move games between now to June, midweek, because kids do not want to give up their school football. So they keep the school football for the Saturdays and the Friday nights, and the league's done in Tuesday, Wednesday to accommodate for it. Yeah.
And look, if you think about that, we tried that. We actually applied to become a club during COVID, where we could have a girls team and a boys team. And we didn't mind what league they put us in. The community league would be where we'd start, obviously. But we would play kids a couple of years above, and it would be more about the training, and we'd take them on tours and trips. So we might go to Croatia for 4 weeks and tour the country and play games. Or we went to Spain a couple of years ago and had a massive experience at Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. And we wanted to do that. We were rejected at the time by FV, but that day that you guys showed the footage of the boys winning the final, Kimon Teliadoris was there, and he said, we want to revisit what you've promoted because we now understand what you mean. So he's going to come for a coffee. I'll take him on face value. He reckons he's coming for a coffee to talk to our principal and us next term. We'll see how we go. But
every Greek likes a coffee.
Absolutely. And we've got a good machine in our office. But you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right about that because when they play for their school, they're playing for kids that they've literally grown up with for several years. You know, the club scene, people change, they move. That's right. So their passion for each other is amazing. And and the bond's massive, and obviously the buy-in's huge because we can basically say, hey, your grades aren't up. Well, we do this. Your grades aren't up to scratch. You're going to come to the training field and you're going to catch up on your homework before you join back in with the squad. And if it's not done, you're not eligible for selection. And that we haven't had to do that now for 4 years. That's how strong the culture is with the older kids saying to the younger kids, do your work. And that mentorship is kind of akin to what we had with, Adrian Savinski's and that coming down and playing with us and guiding the younger players, which is massive.
As a teacher, I guess, and as a coach, do you find the kids that are involved in this program tend to have a bit more of a mature outlook, whether it be because of their football, but on their studies and overall, you just mentioned that mentorship as well. But is that sort of something that then you guys try and be not just a teacher-student relationship, but more of a coach, mentor / pupil, a player type of. And how do you combine the two roles? Like I'm sure you're a teacher, in class and what you're not, but then out on the field you're a coach. How do you kind of synthesize the two?
That's a good one because today's a really good example of that. So Wednesday for me, I have a Year 7 group, which is our youngest pups. I have them for a 90-minute session in the early morning or mid-morning. Then straight after that, I have our Year 9 group. Okay, so it's an hour break between the two of them. And then after school, we had a trial match for our 9 and 10 selection squad. So, yeah, you have to put on different hats throughout the day, and different kids require different things. And it's actually made me a far better coach at explaining things because I can break down something as simple as a technical element of a skill, but also add the complexity to it because I have to do it with older kids. So the relationship with the kids actually changes. And these boys, Mikey Vonja, for example, he's like, it's almost a peer relationship now, as opposed to in Year 7 where it was, an authoritarian type of coaching structure where the kids have to listen, toe the line. And that's such a wonderful thing because like one of our boys, you guys have seen this with the Dinamo page, Philip Lassar, who's graduated in 2020 at our school. Fantastic ATAR score, got a scholarship to Melbourne, and also a really good footballer. One of the most dedicated kids I've ever seen, like every morning, literally taking free kicks, corners, pens. He comes back now and he coaches the kids voluntarily at the school twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday, before he goes to Dinamo. Yeah. He was there this morning with a couple of the older boys who wanted to work on their free kicks. We've given them a key to the storeroom, and they basically come in at 7 in the morning. They do their session. They're out of there by 8:30, and off he goes to uni. So I don't know how you can quantify that when you compare it to, MPL, drop them off, do their hour and a half, go home, no more connection with you until I see you next time, and then 3-4 months off. It's a different world. Yeah.
That's good. It must be nice, rewarding for yourself to see, an alumni come back and treat it in that respect.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, three of our current 7 coaches that we've got involved, 3 of them are ex-students. 2 of them are studying teaching. One's a goalkeeper coach studying economics, and obviously Phil. Basically 4 actually. So there's my counting going wrong. But they've gone through our system. We've got our own curriculum, which I wrote a couple of years ago and have been adding to it. So we've got our own mapped out plan for these kids. And obviously it deviates because sometimes you get a kid that's so talented that you have to tailor their experience to be different to the rest of the group. So it's an individual conversation. So I'll go to a Tonchi and I'll say, Tonch, you're fantastic. Your right-hand side's amazing. Let's work for the next 6 weeks on your left-hand side. So in all of our training games and all of our practices, try and deviate to the left side of the pitch, and let's see if we can get a bit of swing on your left foot cross. And then at the end of the session, it might be a review. How many did you get in? Let's check it on the video. You guys check it tonight. We'll send you the link, and then let us know tomorrow, and we build on that. So,
Well, I'm pretty sure the kids, most kids hate doing homework, but if they're set homework by the soccer school, that's a different story. Josip, I wanted to talk about something that you made a comment on a recent LinkedIn post. And Josip Jilic added to it. And it was a very interesting point. And, I mean, we could have a whole night's discussion about this. But you were having to go, basically, there was a NPL coach that had punished his players on the Monday morning because they hadn't received the right result. Now, we all know the NPL youth system is there to develop players, but obviously things aren't always the case. What's your take on youth development through the NPL climate, the current NPL youth climate, juniors climate?
The filtered version. No, being completely honest, any model that has pay to play as its main function of or basic way of functioning is always going to have compromises, and it's always going to be difficult. And are you always going to get a coach that is a coach or a teacher or someone that understands the education and development process, as opposed to someone that does another job and probably does that job really well, but then has to go and put on a new hat and be able to engage with a group of kids after a long day at school? Look, it's the best we've got at the moment. Can it be better? Absolutely. Can the schools do more with it? Yes. Like, I'll give you an example. We've got 4 boys from Melbourne City in the program, 1 boy from Melbourne Victory. And our relationship with those 2 technical directors is such that they trust the kids to train with us once a week and have a night off, especially the city ones, because they're in Casey Fields and we're in the west of Melbourne. So it's a good 90-minute trek to training and back. That on a Wednesday, those 4 city boys will train with us, and instead of going down to their club, because they know they're going to get the same value from their training session. And if they've got something particular to work on, it's a quick text message from the technical director to say, hey, we noticed this in their weekend games. Can you guys incorporate this into your session? Not a problem, because like I said, our whole program is about the holistic approach to the kid. So if they've seen it and they're a full-time kid at City and we can help them, why not? You know, we share ideas with them all the time. And I think there's a little bit of that still lacking, but it has changed. I know the first couple of years that LinkedIn post that I did was a lot more common. It is a bit rarer now. And the person that did it, probably in the heat of the moment, like we all are, you know how it is, guys, when human emotion is always a lot stronger than human reason. And if he had his time again, he probably wouldn't have done that. And at the end of the day, the TD stepped in and it was fixed, which is fortunate for the kids. And we're okay. We're in a place, in a better place now.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, JOSIP, this is awesome. We're having a fantastic conversation with you, having a fantastic discussion with you. If you can hang around, we're going to have a little bit of a break. When we return, we're going to bring Michael on, one of your students, one of your star pupils, who he's going to talk about his selection in the Australian Under-17 talent training camp. We'll also talk about his experiences, I guess, as a recipient of the Keilor Downs College Soccer School base of knowledge. So don't go away, folks. You're tuning into the Oz Cro Soccer Show. The Football Outwear Show, and that is streamed every Sunday night at 7 p.m, covering the entire western suburbs of Melbourne. And it's a great pleasure to look at the power of modern technology and modern streaming. We're able to speak to our next guest, who's coming from the Melbourne City training camp out in Casey Fields, Michael Vonja. Michael, welcome to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, mate. How was training tonight?
It was good. I was with the 23s tonight, so with the all the other A-League boys that didn't play tonight and tonight's fixture against Sydney. So it was good quality. It was good stuff.
Excellent. Good to hear. Hey, Michael, congratulations on the selection to the Under-17s Joey's camp coming up in Townsville, mate.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been something that I've wanted to do for the last couple of years now. That's been probably my main goal, to represent the country, because I think that was my dream. At the end of the day, I want to play for the country. I want to play professionally, and if I can do it on the biggest stage, like the World Cup, say for instance in the Under-17s, that's it. That's a goal.
It's a great reward for yourself and your family for the efforts to date to get you to where you are right now. Anytime you can put on a national uniform, mate, to represent something that you're passionate about, is a credit to the person you are and the people that support you to get there. So well done on that, mate.
Now tell us, Michael, what was the process involved? How did you get to this stage to be selected? Did it start back with the various talent identification trainings that Football Victoria, say, for example, offer, or was there certain trials that you had to attend?
So I think majority of it was done by them watching us. So I remember about a year ago we played a friendly. So like my Melbourne City team at the time, we got all the 06s, so the 2006 spawns, and we played the TRDC team, so the team that were like the other 06s from around Victoria. And Trevor Morgan actually came down and he was watching and he spoke to us about it because it got taken off the 2005 Borns because of COVID in 2020. So we went, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not really much else to it. I got there was lots of rumor, especially at the start of the year, that it's coming up. It's going to be a pretty big thing. There's going to be a training camp on the holidays, which obviously I've been called up to, which is, I'm really happy about that. And yeah, that's about it.
And you're part of the Keilor Downs Soccer School. You've got JOSIP still on the show. I don't know if you can see him on your screen there.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say.
No, he's seen this head way too many times.
So how do you enjoy the program at school, and do you find a great deal of difference between what you're doing at school at a club, or do you find a lot of synergy, a lot of relative activity going on?
Yeah, look, the bonding at school is just you can't compare it to anything else. Like, it's nowhere near what we get at Melbourne City. Like, the culture at school, like, especially because most of the senior boys that you were showing before that we won the cup this year, most of us have been to Spain together and we've experienced like the best of the best. We've been at Real Madrid, we've got thumped against Atletico. Like, we've seen it. We've seen what it takes to play at like those high level clubs. And I think like the bond between us, especially like all the boys that went overseas, it's just we're like brothers. We're like family now. Like, it's
It's excellent.
Yeah. Josip, tell us a bit more about that trip. We've seen sort of, I've heard about that in the past, the trip to Spain. How was that arranged, and what was some of the experiences the boys experienced on that trip?
Yeah, so we took admittedly a very young group of boys to an under-16s tournament. So Mikey is now at the age that he could have played in that tournament 2 years ago, and a lot of the boys, he's actually the youngest boy that we took in the squad. And physically, they were nowhere near the level required against the Spanish teams. The Aussie teams we competed well with, but Rayo Vallecano and Atletico Madrid did give the boys a good lesson, not only technically, but also physicality and how to use your body and how you've got to become a different person on the field when that white line fever hits. You have to become protective of your space and of yourself.
Yep.
And then the boys spent 2 days training at Real Madrid with their under 19s coach, who took them through basically what Real Madrid would do. And that was, I mean, apart from the complex itself being out of this world, just listening to the way they coach. And I had the fortune of talking to Atletico coaches a bit at the hotel and also the Real coaches and showing them what we're doing at school. And they basically leafed through it and they said, you're spot on, just stick with it, give it time, it'll bear fruit. And what Mikey said now, it's starting to bear fruit for these young boys. Like, I know for Mikey, he would have come back from that trip speaking to his dad and absolutely determined to make sure that he can take every learning opportunity from that, improve himself, so that when he gets an opportunity to, be in these talent ID camps, that he's ready to go.
So, Mikey, do you know any of the other boys that are going in the squad in the Joeys at the moment?
Yeah. So I know four of the boys from Vic. So we got the 3 from City. So you got Benny Dunbar, Zave Stella, and John Callis. So I play with them sometimes in the 18s competition.
Yep.
And there's another boy, George Mihalides, from Melbourne Victory. And all of us, we played 2019 for Victoria, the under-13s nationals, and we won it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talented group of players for sure.
When do you take off for the camp?
Monday next week, and we'll return Friday.
Okay, good.
What are some of the other goalkeepers in the squad? Do you know much about them?
Well, I know they're both from Sydney. I know one of them's Croatian, I'm pretty sure.
Publishers, yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. From Western Sydney Wanderers in Sydney. So I look forward. Like I haven't really had like exposure to hopefully like they're really good keepers, because it'll be good, man, to see what else is around Australia, what I can compare myself to. Yeah. Just how that.
Amazing.
We saw during the week the school gave you a nice bit of recognition for your efforts. It was on the social media pages there where they had you out in front of the school for a photo opportunity, mate. How are your schoolmates taken to the announcement? Are they wrapped for you?
Yeah, everyone's coming up, giving me high fives, handshakes, all that stuff. Yeah, it's great. It's good.
That's good, mate.
Josip, the recognition that the program's getting, we're talking about it. It's not something that's been born fruit overnight. It's had to take years for the actual program, the foundations, the building blocks to be put in place. But outside of the program itself, within the school, from your own school staff, your own principal, as you mentioned, Football Victoria are only now starting to sort of take notice of what's going on. Is the program starting to get a lot of recognition and acknowledgement from some of the powers that be, starting from your own school?
Yeah, the school's always been supportive. Our principal, Linda Maxwell, who came in after we'd formed it, so she was there as an assistant principal. She carried on with what the previous principal put in place, but he basically said to us, what do you need to do this? This is an engagement thing. It'll bring people to the school. It's good PR. And we said, we need a good field. We'll take care of the rest. So he sorted the pitch out, and she basically took over from it. And she's been trying to, give us more time release, to have more time to plan, to go and speak to kids, to improve things around the program. Adding it as a year 10 elective subject, so kids do strength and conditioning blocks, yoga, Pilates, that sort of stuff within it as well. The support, like the staff love it, because they know that if our kids are out of line, and they do, kids make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Yep.
But we're onto them quickly, because the school portal, all of the soccer kids are on a thread, and I can just check and see how they're tracking, both academically in a positive way, and if there's been any negatives. And it's a quick conversation. It's like, hey, pull your head in. Can't do that in class if you want to represent the school. And generally speaking, again, you have your ups and downs here and there, but they've just bought into it massively. And the staff respect that. And we hope, we're looking at a project with Brimbank Council to make a brand new synthetic field, a FIFA A standard one within the school, which will be a game changer for us, because we could theoretically have all of our teams training, all of our squads and groups training on the same night, which would be amazing, because you can then chop and change. And one of the things I was going to say to you guys, which has been good for Mike, is pushing kids up when they're ready, in terms of technical and understanding of the game, rather than just waiting under 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s. Yeah. If the kid's 12 and he can play with 14-year-olds and it's going to help him improve, or her improve, why not push them up? We're developing individuals within a team environment, and that's our focus, and that's why it continues to gain traction.
Absolutely.
Hey, Michael, one last question for me, mate, before we... who's driving you home, mum or dad?
Mum.
Right, say hi to mum for us. What's for večera?
I don't know at the moment.
Better maybe ask Dad. He's the one that's at home.
Yeah,
that's not my question. My question is... my question to you is, or more so, trying to draw out of you a statement. For young viewers who might catch on to this probably maybe tonight, or even watch this on replay, a bit of advice about time management, so that you can get the best out of yourself in your performances on the field and also in school.
Yeah, look, for me, it's sacrifice. Like, I've had to sacrifice going out with my mates, like on the weekends when they go out. You have to eat right. You got to get your sleep. Like, I know all my mates, they go to sleep around like 11, 12. I'm in bed 8:30, 9 o'clock. I need my sleep. I need my rest. And just the little 1%ers. That's it. Like, if you put in the work, you'll get the results that you deserve.
Common theme, Tonch, in other conversations we've had with young men so far this year, mate.
Absolutely.
Sacrifices galore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we talked to Niki Vlahovic and Luka Skorko when they'd gone to Croatia, and they were trying to hit it big in the big time over there, and that was one of the common denominators that they talked about. Speaking of which, Josip, I believe young Niki scored on his first time that he's played in 90 minutes or something like that.
his first 90 minutes for Primorac, and he scored, mate. And I think they rescued a point. So good.
There you go. It's all about that sacrifice and being patient, and eventually your goals will be achieved if you work hard enough. Michael, once again, congratulations on the first step to your ultimate dream of becoming a professional footballer, and I'm sure you will achieve that in years to come. And we look forward to watching you and tracking your move, and wish you all the very best with your football career.
Thank you very much, guys.
All the best in Townsville, mate. We look forward to hearing the results.
Thank you.
And JOSIP, thank you for joining us. It's always an absolute pleasure, mate. We're going to have to get you back on the show again in the not too distant future. But everything we talked about youth development today, we didn't even get a chance to talk about women's football. That might have to come next time. But thank you so much. It was just absolute pearls of wisdom.
You're welcome. As my former editor-in-chief at the Croatian Herald.
Yes, we go a long way back.
Anything for you, my friend, and for my namesake, same thing goes. You guys are doing wonderful things, and I think sharing as much as we can from the young players to the older experienced people. Knowledge is great. Knowledge just helps us grow, makes us think and be critical, and that's what we want to be to become better. So,
awesome,
thanks,
guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
gentlemen.
very much. And we look forward to chatting to you guys again. Good on you. Thanks very much. Well, that was a fantastic insight into a program that is just achieving so much. It's really, in a way, punching above its weight. But, wow, I mean, that was, to me, I really got a lot out of that, JOSIP.
Yeah, look, mate, I was just going to say we're lucky, mate. The conversations we've been having over the last 12 weeks and on a range of subjects, but every time we come back to this youth development, Marko Bulic, then Michael Vonja just tonight, Luka and Nicholas recently as well, the sacrifices that they have to make. I mean, they're spending so much time away, even from their mums, dads, the bubble of home.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's a sacrifice on its own.
Yeah,
let alone the social circles that they probably look at the rest of their group doing and probably think, maybe I can go out tonight. Maybe I can come to that party, that 17th, that 18th birthday party. But no, they've got to follow some structure and regimen.
Absolutely. Now, talking about future stars, our cameras were out at Churchill Reserve a couple of weeks ago when it was the I&D Day. And we caught all the colour, all the excitement, and wait till you listen to the group of Dinamo youngsters. They are Ivan Mioc's team. They've got a very special message for you at the very, very end. Don't go away, folks.
2 minutes. 8, 10, I mean, on the right trimmers up front Tommy's. Yeah? Back. Got a bit of orange. Come on, Dinamo! Release it! They can't wait for it. Here we go now. Quiet. Go. Help, Joe. It's a little bit long, a little bit soft. Okay. The ball travels a little bit harder on it, boys. Get a feel for it. Blowing hard, yeah? Blowing hard. Have fun. Those 50-50 balls, you need to win them, yeah? Those 50-50 balls, you got to win that.
You're watching the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
How nice is that?
There you go. How the future stars of our Croatian clubs, and what a great day! But Josip, the underlying factor there was just seeing young people everywhere, and actually, my mum went along to that, and she goes, where are all the people? Where are all the older people? They're either at home, sick, dead. Unfortunately, a lot of people have passed away over the last couple of years. But it's. But on the flip side, it is heartwarming to see the second, third, and in some cases, the fourth generation. And soccer is the one thing, and folklore. We saw the folkloric group.
I was going to say my take out of that clip is that little group of folkloric dancers there, and that exaggerated first step, that boom.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was delight to see. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. A big shout out to all the volunteers on the day. We've had Dinamo, St. Albans Dinamo featured on the show in previous episodes. Ilya Dragicic, the president. Ivan Mioc was on as well. He was that was his team, by the way, the last group. And you just had to ask them once to do it, and they were absolutely brilliant.
They're all stars.
Credit to the kids. That brings us to the end of another awesome episode of the Oz Cro Soccer Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you like what we're trying to do, become a member for as little as $25 a month. There's the website where you can become a member, www.patreon.com// Cro Soccer Show. And also head over to our YouTube channel. Press the like button, subscribe to that as well, and you can watch all of our past episodes. And Josip, as you said, there's some absolute great interviews we've had and some fantastic pieces of advice, words of advice for any budding young superstar. And hopefully we'll see in that crop that we just saw in years to come, future Socceroos, future Vatreni, ko zna.
Who knows? The world's their oyster. Let's just hope they can keep going with it.
Absolutely. Folks, until next week, thank you for being part of the Oz Cro Soccer Show. We look forward to having your company. My name is Tonči Prusac, and with me was
Josip Žilić. Laku noć.
Laku noć, good night.